doctor, and they got a hold of his emails. And his emails, you've got all sorts of talk of, hey, look at how good I am at deleting my emails. Hey, am I going to get kickbacks for getting this thing approved? So you got this other doctor guy who seems to have been in on the grift, working over at NIH, approving the funding that went to Peter Daszak, who's the guy of EcoHealth, who is the one who worked for Fauci to go over to China and purchase the virus. And now all of this is deep conspiracy talk. And sadly, the people that are best at grilling these guys was not on this committee. So I don't know that there are any great bombshells. The guy sat very calmly in the pocket and he said, I apologize. Everything I said about deleting emails and taking money, those were all just jokes. I'm a very funny man. Sure, up here, I'm a stiff and a bore because I understand how bad it looks to display your sense of humor in a public setting. And so, yeah, I might not be very funny as I sit here and you guys ask me questions about all the jokes I made in my emails that just kind of sound like being a part of a conspiracy where you're being paid money and covering things up. But listen, don't just take it from me. Why not watch the actual footage from the congressional hearing in which he addresses whether or not he received any kickbacks from the EcoHealth Alliance for processing the grant? Because he did say in an email, am I getting some kickbacks? And then we'll look at all the emails that he mentioned deleting his record.
August 27, 2020, after NIH was awarded a $7.5 million grant to EcoHealth Alliance, you wrote to him and you asked, do I get a kickback? Too much fooking, F-O-O-K-I-N-G, money. Do you deserve it all? Question mark. Let's discuss. Would you like to explain?
That's typical black humor between people like Peter and me and other folks who show up in these emails.
And he responded saying, thanks for the kind words, and of course there's a kickback, period. You think that's appropriate behavior between NIH, somebody who works for NIAID, to a grantee who just received $7.5 million from the government? My question, before I run out of time, is have you ever received any compensation from Peter Daszak or EcoHealth?
No.
Have you ever received any compensation from any entity outside of your employer and NIAID?
It depends. I don't know what the definition of compensation is.
Well, have you ever received any money?
I get a pension.
Okay, you have a pension, not government related. I'm asking specifically because you have to ask that question when you put it in writing, asking him for a kickback.
Well, there's two parts to your question. Let me answer. All of this stuff was a bunch of snarky jokes. And I think, we all knew that.
Well, I don't think any of us think it's a funny joke.
Well,
I mean, you are representing the United States government, you're representing an agency, and you're asking a grantee do I get a kickback?
Yeah, I believe.
Do you deserve it all? Let's discuss, ... So I'm going to ask one more time, remind you you're under oath, did you ever receive any money from Peter Daszak, EcoHealth, or anybody else outside of your employer, NIAID, or the federal government directly?
No, ma'am, with the exception of early after I joined NIH, I had a private corporation, and in which I used to do consulting. And shortly after I got to NIH, I realized there would always be a conflict.
Okay.
And that corporation has been silent for 20 years now. No income.
Okay. Thank you very much. I yield back.
All right. Well, he played off that his request for a kickback, which was, right in an email, just a joke. I think if you had your Thomas Massey's, because this lady kind of lets him off and goes, oh, wow, that's inappropriate. But I guess she's willing to accept that it was a joke. And so you didn't have some of the better guns going after this guy. But for those who did not previously see this news story,
and
here's
August 27th.
Here's some of the best of emails as recapped from Fox News because it's right in writing. These are right in his emails, him talking. All right, let's give this a read. Sorry, I got more things blocking my screens. This is what happens when it's a live show, people. All right, give me a second, and then we can go through some of these emails. All right, first one. We are all smart enough to know to never have smoking guns, and if we did, we wouldn't put them in emails, and if we found them, we'd delete them. That's one email from Dr. Morens. Here's another email from Dr. Morens. I deleted the email, but I now learn that every email I ever got sent since 1998 is captured and will be turned over, whether or not instantly deleted it. Gmail, phone, text, I need to scrupulously relies on those exclusively. Continuing, I learned from our FOIA lady here how to make emails disappear after I am FOIA'd, but before the search starts, so I think we're all safe. Plus, I deleted most of those earlier emails after sending them to Gmail. Further correspondence between him, the guy from EcoHealth, and Fauci saying, hey, let's make sure that you're sending things only to my personal Gmail. Let's continue. Jerry, I'm updating you on my computer and gag order situation. With the help of our IT folks, I went over the whole computer and phone situation. They loaded some anti-hacking software on my phone and discussed the situation with me. Basically, my Gmail is now safe from FOIA and hacking, and all of my devices, including government computer and phone, and my private computer and iPad. Thus, it should be safe to communicate safely with you, Peter, and others as long as you use my private Gmail. You may have noticed that I've intentionally forwarded you news clips I get daily sent from my government email, but that is okay as long as you don't reply to that email. I've done this because this should not show up in an FOIA, as innocuous as it's just forwarding a third-party item already in the public domain, and because it saves me forwarding to my own Gmail and then on to you. Please pass this on to Peter, and I ask you both that nothing gets sent to me except to my Gmail, and make sure that what gets sent to my Gmail doesn't have a CC to another government employee who could get an FOIA. All right, let's continue. More damning emails. It's not like this was a one-off. It's not like there was one single email where he was like, hey, listen, I've deleted the things. The other people who were trying to check this on me, they told me how to do it, and let's go with my Gmail. Good news. Keep it up. I had a long off-the-record chat with PBS NewsHour's Nick Schifrin this morning. The craziness is receding at least a bit. I forgot to clarify my email yesterday that both my Gmail and phone calls are now safe. Text is not, as it can be FOIA'd, as can my government email. So you and Peters and others should be able to email me on my Gmail only, with the caveat that no other government employee is copied at a government address. And let's do one more. I can either send stuff to Tony on his private Gmail or hand it to him at work or at his house. He is too smart to let colleagues send him stuff that could cause trouble. And then here, let's watch. This is Rand Paul talking about what next steps should be to get Fauci.
I'm sending a letter to the Department of Justice. The question is, will the Department of Justice act? And frankly, if you were prosecuting this, what you would do is offer Morens some possible immunity if he'll testify to actually what Anthony Fauci was doing, since I believe Anthony Fauci was in charge of the entire conspiracy.
So there you go. You got Rand Paul saying we need to get this guy to testify against Fauci and Peter Daszak. We will see what happens next in this escalations of seeming like the system's turning against these guys a little bit and willing to dig in a little bit, but it certainly has been slow moving, and I guess by the time they do, Fauci will just be able to pretend like he's got dementia. All right, let's read a couple comments. Fauci on if his house doors. My house has no doors. What it does have is a large wooden rectangles with steel cores. The wood rectangles allow access to my house. They aren't doors in my expert opinion. DM. Not bad. You know, robsnewsroom@gmail.com. Just send me the jokes before the show. I'll keep them. Big Biz. Should we bring back tar and feathering? Never forget what he did during COVID. And then Runaway Slav, Boomers in Technology, a tale as old as time. There you go. I mean, that will be the defense. That will be the defense, is exactly that. Your Honor, this might be brilliant scientists. They're just bad with technology. They preferred the Gmail interface. The tech person told them, just use the Gmail. They didn't understand why they were specifically going to the Gmail only for the emails that they didn't want us to read. They're old people. We all know the way that old people deal with technology. All right, what do we got next? What topic do we have next? Biden's canceling student loans, but you know what happens when we transition topics. We get money! YoKratom.com, home of the $60 kilo, longest running sponsor on this here program, and the